Welcome to Tokyo, Japan. So what are some of the things that you miss when you leave Japan? Is it the trains? Is it the public transportation? Is it those jingles that you hear all over the city? That the colors of it, the vibe, all of the bright lights. The mascots? The people? The food? There's so many things to miss when you leave Japan. And in my experience, I've left and come back and left and come back again. And in this live stream on the Only in Japan Go channel, we're going to discuss some of the things that we miss when we leave Japan. And I think that some of these things will help you make a decision whether or not you want to come and visit, because, yeah, when you do come and you visit Japan for a while, you get a little bit of attached to the things here, for better or for worse. And we're going to go over that because I made a list. So let's walk around Shinbashi. This is the Shinbashi area, and talk about that list. And I think a lot of people that are watching also have either lived in Japan or visited Japan and have their own list. And in the comments below, you might want to list them up, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting reading. This is Shinbashi. It's one of the big hubs, big terminus of Tokyo. Loads and loads of shops, restaurants. I thought this would be a great place because it's also where I ended one of the last live streams, and there's just so much to do here. And there's tons of vending machines. And that's the first thing that I missed when I left. Because in 2003, I went on a 9-month trip around the world. And that trip took me, wow, so many corners of the world. And then at the end of it, I went back to the United States for a month. And when things slowed down, that's when I started to really miss little things like vending machines. There's one right up there. The other thing that I really missed were the convenience stores. And the two of them sort of go together because it goes under this theme of convenience. Especially if you live in the cities, Japan is just so convenient. You don't have to walk more than a couple hundred meters and boom, there's a convenience store. Boom, there's a vending machine. I think that for every 5 people, there's one vending machine in the country. That's crazy. Up here, there's a convenience store, and there's another convenience store like 2-3 minutes down the street. You never run out of them, especially in the cities. There you go. There's a couple of vending machines between the opening of a bank vestibule. All right, it's a red light, but there's no cars coming. Let's go take a look at the vending machine. Vending machines in Japan are incredibly convenient, and usually there's so many choices that you could stand in front of one of them and you'll never know what you want to get. You just could stand here for ages. Just the sheer variety it's beautiful to look at. One of the things that I love about the vending machines are that they sell things like coffee, and they'll sell it hot and cold. Right now it's summer, so they're all sold cold, but in the fall and the spring and the winter, they're sold hot. There's also unsweetened teas. Another thing that I really love about the vending machines. Coca-Cola, although this is a Coke vending machine, makes up a very small portion of the choices. Tea in vending machines. That's new. Coca-Cola Energy. What? The next thing are the convenience stores. And I think if you're somebody who, when you first come to Japan, are a little bit of shy going into restaurants, you don't know what the cuisine is, the first place you experience it is probably in convenience stores, because they're so inviting, so easy to go into, and they have more than just, like snacks and chocolate and drinks. They got all sorts of things, including services. They have ATM machines, which all the convenience stores do nowadays. But back then, it was just a place where you could go to get a decent cup of coffee or bento, and the food is eatable. You can eat the food here. All right, just a quick look from here and here. The bentos were also something that I really loved. Bentos is one of the things that I miss. When I went home, just being able to go to a convenience store or a supermarket and pick up a bento and have that variety of foods in one box, I miss that a lot, because you can't do that. You would go to a fast food restaurant, a drive-thru, get a bag or something, but you could have a bento, which was, I don't know, just for me, it was one of these things I really missed. There's also restaurants like right here. They're so easy. You get the ticket, pay for it right there. You get a ticket, take it in. They'll serve you. You don't have to pay when you leave. No tipping. That's another thing I missed. No tipping in Japan. You never have to worry about that. You don't have to worry whether your server is good or bad. You didn't have to tip anyways, and the service was always pretty darn good. Wow, this is looking pretty good. And I love the fact that just recently, almost all of the restaurants have English on here for visitors. They can figure out what they would get. Soba. Sometimes they'll put the ingredients in here in case you have an allergy to it. It's just so easy. Look, they even have English menus on the... This wasn't like this 20 years ago, by the way. 20 years ago, it was a lot... Oh, wow. This is nice. Yeah, and then you gotta pick... You can pick how many that you want. All right, cancel. Yeah, so many things that I missed. All right, when I went back... Whoa! Check this out. Oh man, I love the plastic display foods. But I love how it's suspended like wallpaper on this display. Look at this. This is awesome. The plastic displays look like the real thing. I missed edamame. I missed tempura, tendon. I missed soba. I missed ramen. I missed the food. Thank you, Jason Wilson. Really appreciate that for the night shift. We might be doing, by the way, a midnight snack run very soon. Midnight snack run. That's another Family Mart. We just passed a Family Mart. There's two Family Marts. You can see the sign. Look at this. One here and one right there. This is crazy, right? Convenience. Convenience is one of the big things that I missed when I went back to the United States. Of course, there were things that I missed. When I lived here of the United States, like, I always thought people were a little bit friendlier, easier to talk to. I thought that I liked the bigger portions for some things. I missed the pizza. I never really ate Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, but I missed having that option to eat them because we don't have them here until recently, but then they sort of went away. Oh, look at this taiyaki place. That smells so good. These little things are things that, you start to miss about Japan. Waiting in line was one thing I didn't miss. You gotta wait in line for a lot of stuff in Japan. Oh wow, I might have to get one of these. This is called taiyaki. They're in the shape of fish. Inside is custard or red bean paste. Always good. Always good. All right, let's keep going here. The list is long, everybody. What are some of the things that you miss about Japan? What are the things that you wish that you had in your country that we have here in Japan? Oh, ha, 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 ha. I got a list right here. Oshibori. Do you know oshibori? They are the wet napkins that you get in restaurants, or hot towels. Every time you walk into a restaurant, even if it's like a cafe right here, they'll give you a wet napkin on your tray so then you can clean your hands. So you're never, even if there's not a sink to wash your hands in, you'll always have clean hands. I love that. I remember taking Japan Airlines like 20 years ago, and they gave me an oshibori, a hot towel. I'd never had that before. I said, this is an amazing thing. Feels good, especially in the winter or the summer. It's a way to cool off. Oshibori, no tipping, I said. Baths. The culture of baths. I guess the first 2 years, I didn't really mind taking showers, and I was very shy to get into the public baths. And actually, I was a shower person in the morning, and in Japan, we don't shower in the morning. Well, I still do that, but most people in Japan will only take a bath at night before they go to bed, and they wake up and they'll go to work. You don't take a bath in the morning. But we take showers in the morning in the US, and some people, I would take showers at night before I went to bed as well, but in the US, not everyone takes showers at night. But the culture of baths was something that I really missed. And this culture of eating. Look at that. The culture of drinking out on a Friday or Saturday night with your friends. I miss that because here alcohol and the public transportation make it so easy to go out with friends and have a roaring night and not have to worry about getting into a car or having to drive home. Public transportation in the cities is very convenient. Not everybody was living in the cities though. A lot of people who come to Japan, Westerners, come as jet teachers or working out in the countryside. I don't smoke, so I didn't miss the tobacco vending machines. But if you lived out in the countryside, there were other things that you liked, I think, that are different. But I think for the most part, everybody has been to the cities, and the convenience of it all is just too good. One thing that I did discover though, and this is something I guess just in the last couple of years, when you travel abroad, not everybody gives you free water on the table. Everywhere you go in Japan, they will give you a glass of water. I know it sounds like some countries might do that, but not all countries give you a glass of water for free or a glass of tea for free. You do not have to buy a drink. It's not necessary to buy a drink. And in the United States, you always had to buy a drink. You could ask for water, but it felt somewhat discouraging. It's normal in Japan not to ask for a drink, and it's okay. I kind of miss that. I like that. And then there's the cleanliness. All right, one of the things that shocked me was going back to the United States after being in Japan for so long, and then I felt dirty if I didn't take my shoes off. All right? I felt the need. It's like, you get so used to brushing your teeth, you can feel, oh, it's time to brush my teeth. I can't go on with life if I don't brush my teeth. It's just one of these habit things that you do before you go to bed, when you wake up, after you eat a meal. Taking off my shoes was a habit. I could not take my shoes off. So even though in my own family's house, everybody would walk with their shoes on in the living room and in the kitchen, if I didn't take my shoes off, I felt just wrong. So I missed that feeling where we had like a genkan or an entranceway where you could take your shoes off, put them on a rack, and then that's what everybody did. It was normal. But, in America, we even will put our feet up on the sofa. We put our feet up on the sofa with the shoes on. Or I've seen people get on their bed with their shoes on. I guess it's the old cowboy boots on type of culture. I don't know. But it's really a nasty thing. In Japan, we don't do that. So cleanliness was big. And I'm not just talking about shoes in the house. Look at the city here. I'm in the center of the city. There are no trash cans anywhere. And it is really, really clean. People have kind of a feeling of responsibility to make sure that the streets are clean and they don't leave any of their own garbage behind. They take it home and they throw it away. I did a live stream on this, why there are no trash cans in the cities. People take their trash home. I know. I'm seeing C2. It is pretty nasty when you start walking around your house with shoes on, because you've been walking around the city in public restrooms and stuff. Shoes should be taken off. It's just one of these things that I missed about Japan after being abroad, because the floor is so dirty because people don't take their shoes off. You kind of have to take your shoes off, or you have to kind of keep your shoes on. That's weird. The lion roar is so loud. They need a decibel meter here. It's pretty cool. It's a way for the construction workers to tell how loud the noise is, and if they're disturbing the city. And if it's too loud, you can call a phone number and they'll try to keep it down. I love that about Japan. In the communities, you really want to try to be accommodating to your neighbors. So neighbors feel a responsibility or need to keep it down at certain times, to follow societal rules that I think maybe they're more polite. That's something that I sort of missed. But then if you're here too much, I kind of miss people doing bad stuff too. Sometimes just breaking the rules a little bit. So that's one thing that people can go crazy here in Japan, because sometimes customer service can be so polite, it makes you just break down expats, like, just tell me what you're really thinking. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen here. No staff member at an office is gonna tell you what they really think. No one's gonna take you to the side and say, hey, that shirt, it's gonna be on sale in 2 weeks. No one will ever say that to you here in Japan. They never break the rules. All right. I think if you've ever been to Japan and you stay in a hotel, toilets, the washlet is something that you don't have in a lot of other countries. the Japanese toilet is awesome. It is absolutely, it's like how have I been living my life without a Japanese toilet for so long? And we're passing up a vending machine for another lunch spot. Oh, here's a ramen place. How have I been living my life without a Japanese toilet for so long? And once you have one, how can you go back to normal, just regular toilet paper, or in India, your hand? I just very, very hard to go back after experiencing a washlet, something that cleans you and you never have soiled anything ever again. It's just, it's too perfect. And the funny thing is that technology came from the United States. Japan took the medical toilets from the 1950s and they brought it back and made it for everyday life for everybody. And yet America still has not brought that technology back. And I don't know why. Like, why wouldn't every home want to have a washlet toilet with massage function? Just, to me, it doesn't make sense. But it's so clean here. You can use the public restrooms. I will hold it in. This is just me. I don't know, maybe you guys are different. I will hold it in if I have to use a public restroom in the United States. I don't want to use a public restroom. And usually they just smell of bleach, right? The staff that cleans public restrooms, they just throw bleach on stuff. That's how they clean it. They throw bleach and mop it. Here, they do it pretty good. It never really smells like bleach, but it's super clean. People make sure when they leave restrooms that it's clean as it was when they entered, or cleaner. That is, to me, mind-boggling. Like, how is the toilet after you use it cleaner? I don't know. So there's that personal responsibility, but just toilets in Japan. I have no problem using a public restroom for a longer stay. I'm just saying. And the stalls and the walls on the stalls, they go all the way down to the floor. Total privacy. And I don't even mind the squatters. It just seems to be a natural thing to do. I miss that in Japan. That's a really nice restaurant here. Oh, this is a karaage restaurant. I missed karaage. I love karaage. Deep fried Japanese chicken bits. Man, there's too many things that I miss when I leave Japan. The list goes on as we walk from Shinbashi towards Akasaka. Japan Post is one of the things that I really missed. You see, there's one of the post box here. Post office in Japan is doing really well. They make money. Unlike the United States Post Office, which is bleeding money because people aren't sending things, in Japan, because we have a culture of paper, we still send stuff. We have postcards, hagaki, we send them at New Year's. Huge amounts of money made for the post office still. Lots of jobs, post office on every corner. Prices are cheaper to send something. They have small package rates, so you can send something for 2 kilograms for like $15 anywhere in the world. It's an incredible rate. You don't have those rates in the United States anymore because they don't do enough business to make it profitable. I do miss Japan Post when I leave. And Takubin. US Post Office is not losing money. All right, I don't really know. All I know is that the stamp prices keep going up and people are sending less and less. So maybe they aren't losing money. But I know that there's stopping Saturday service or something. There's a lot of stuff. It's not exactly in the best. It's not like it was 20 years ago when a stamp was like 20 cents. Now it's like 50 or something. It's kind of, Japan's pretty expensive for stamps, I can tell you that. But they have small package rates, which I use to send packages to people, and we don't have that in the United States. When my mom sent me this hat, it cost her $25 to send a hat because they don't have a small package rate. So you sent it first class mail, $25. I send something of the same weight, cost me $4. So I do miss the Japan Post. I miss the staff. It's Japan Post Office experience is always really nice. Taiyaki bean is amazing. You can send packages at the convenience stores. You can send packages at Lawson's, at 7-Eleven, at Family Mart. Just get one of the papers, write the address in, boom, slap it there. It's at the destination 1 or 2 days later. Sometimes in better condition than I sent it. Very weird. Is that even possible? Taiyaki bean is something that I definitely miss. I had to move a lot in my first job in Japan. I would just take the boxes. I would put my new address on there, take it to the convenience store the day before I left on the Shinkansen to go to the new city. When I arrived, the packages were on their way. And they arrived usually the day or the next day after I had arrived. Amazing service. Now you can do that in the US. You can call UPS, they'll come and pick it up. But I don't know, I always thought that taiyaki bean here is very convenient. The service works just a little bit better, and it was something that I missed when I left here. Wow, I got too many things. Public transportation, but that's not always for everybody. If you live in, doubt US Post is losing money with Amazon. Yeah, but I don't know if, like letters and postcards are one thing, but packages, I think a lot of it goes through UPS, doesn't it, with Amazon? A lot of other private delivery services, or maybe people just evolve. I remember the US Post Office talking about putting a tax on emails. Like they would charge 1 cent for an email stamp. This was back in 1995. I guess that didn't work. Yeah, the Yamanote line is very convenient. I do miss the trains. I miss this culture of commuting by train. That's one of the great things about Japan. You can commute by train everywhere in the cities. And there's a station usually within walking distance. And sometimes, you can just get off at a station nearby and be able to walk to your destination. And it's usually just a couple of minutes difference. It's just the city of Tokyo is so well connected by trains and subways. It's so convenient. It's something that I miss because back in the United States, I always had to get into a car and drive somewhere. You don't have to do that in the cities in Japan. You do in the countryside, though. Don't think that Japan is a train culture. It is very much a car culture outside of the cities. A lot of the country, they love their cars. And there's so many global big car corporations that are based here. Nissan, Toyota, Honda, Mazda, Mitsubishi. Japan is a car culture, although the trains are so convenient. Many people still have cars. As you can tell by looking around the streets here, they do have cars. They do have cars. Kotatsu. Do you know what a kotatsu is? I missed, when I left Japan in 2003, I missed how the seasons were celebrated in Japan. Like winter, spring, summer, and fall. Every season has their own cuisine. Every season has their own things that you do with it. And people are excited about the seasons changing. It's not a big deal back home, but it just is celebrated more here. Not just with the cuisine, but like with activities and traditions. Kotatsu was one of the things that I missed. In the winter, we have these heated tables where you can sit under and watch TV and relax. The whole family will get under there. The family cat will get under the kotatsu. I did homestays in Japan. Kotatsu was like, it was like the water coolers where everybody would go because that was the warm place. It saves on the heating costs a little bit. But it was just having that heated table was just something that I missed. Now you can import them in, but it's just, like if you're, the reason why we take off our shoes in Japan isn't just because it's dirty. It's because we use the floor for sleeping. Japanese sleep on the floor with their futon. We use the floor for sitting. We use the floor, we touch the floor. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to wear your shoes in the house. That's sort of where it comes from. In the United States, we wear our shoes inside, so the floor is always kind of dirty. That's why we have chairs and sofas and things like this. It's sort of different. Now, Japan today has these things, but we still take off our shoes. But cleanliness, definitely. It was hard to get acclimated, to get back, to get used to life in the U.S. again for that month that I had left. And I think it would be hard for me to do that again. I missed words. I don't know, this is a weird one, and maybe expats or people that have lived here for an extended period of time will be able to chime in on this one. Somebody writes in they missed the traffic cones. I don't know. Really? We got tons of them right here. The city of Tokyo with the 2020 Olympics coming is just, it's one big massive traffic cone. There's a lot of construction going on as we pass another convenience store. This is Toranomon. Toranomon is famous for having some new skyscrapers, Toranomon Hills. Some of the big ad agencies have moved here. I think ADK's office moved here. The Tokyo 2020 office is here for the Olympics. Words. Words, like when you go into a store and you hear "Irashaimase," you know what I mean? You don't hear that anywhere. Well, of course, and that's something you would only say in Japan. But you just hear it so often. When you don't hear it anymore, you kind of miss it. I missed when hearing store vendors or shops or stands yell out when a customer would come in, "Irashaimase," like "welcome to the store." I want to be welcomed, and I never really, I kind of missed that. It's not that I didn't feel welcome walking into a shopping mall in the United States. It's just, it was different here, you know? I miss that. Wow. What are some of the things that you guys miss? Well, I've been rapping on for 25 minutes. A Uniqlo every 5 seconds. There aren't that many Uniqlos outside of the cities. They usually have one or two, but you have to drive there, and they're not so convenient. And believe it or not, there are some cities that have no Uniqlo. Cheap McDonald's. Yeah, McDonald's is a place in Japan that defies, I don't know. They've been able to keep prices really, really low while everybody, it's more difficult to do. Now, an onigiri is 100 yen, but you can go into McDonald's and get a hot cheeseburger for 100 yen. It's pretty incredible what McDonald's has been able to do in Japan to make food so affordable. You can always count on that everywhere. Where am I? I've just been walking. Missed the excellent customer service, JKO Adventure. Yeah, you can always get very good, excellent customer service in every store. The customer is God. And I love that. It's a good feeling, but also it can be a little bit annoying because to me, it's good, but it's also, I don't know. I like the friendliness of the US system, maybe a fusion of the two. I kind of miss the friendliness of the staff. People didn't smile, and when they smiled, it looked plastic. To me in Japan, this is the service. When you buy something that's very expensive, I always felt that level of respect was too much for me. If you were to buy something, let's say that was, what was it? I remember buying a TV when I first came to Japan 20 years ago, and I'd spent about 60,000 yen, and the owner of the shop followed me outside of the door. And it's just like buying a kimono. As I walked with the TV, and I didn't live that far away, he even bundled it up with these plastic holders to make the TV like a suitcase, which I'd never seen before in my life. I thought that was awesome. But he was just standing outside the door, and as I walked away, he was still there. I looked back, and he was still there. I didn't know what to do. I thought he wanted something. I started to walk back, and he didn't know what to do. He started looking weird, and then I figured it out. It's kind of a cultural thing. Even when you go and get gasoline at a gas station, the gas attendant will come out, stop traffic for you, and bow as your car's pulling away. And sometimes, to me, this is just me, it just seems too much because I feel not worthy of such service. I don't know. I just think it's a lot. We got Tokyo Tower up there, and me and PVG were on a motorcycle sidecar. You might want to check that out. About 48 hours ago. And we ate lunch underneath the Tokyo Tower. Sometimes they do go too far, and they're too polite, or they're too generic, and it feels too plasticky. Not everybody. Some people are good at customer service, some people aren't. And don't think that just because it's in Japan that all service is good. People that are on baito, like part-time job workers, university students, sometimes really stink at customer service. I remember going into Tsutaya, which is a Blockbuster of Japan, renting DVDs. Awful service. I don't think I ever got good service at Tsutaya. And I don't know why I don't rent DVDs anymore, but at the time I always remember the service was not as polite. And it's just something, with Japan, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be perfect, but that's another problem. When you do encounter bad service in Japan, you always wonder, is it because I'm foreign? Is it because I'm different? Are they treating me different? No, they're just bad at their job. Here are two of the mascots for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Does anybody know their names? Let's see if the Tokyo 2020s is doing a good job. Do you know the mascots' names? I'm saying that because I forgot. I completely forgot what their names are. Yeah, we're in the middle of the rainy season here. Oh, there are some neat things in here. I also miss the 100 yen shop, Daiso. Being able to go into a lot of these places that sell all kinds of things. Or to go into supermarkets that have, what is that, the Tokyo Cup? I guess they do all kinds of awards here. This is pretty cool. What? They get Rugby World Cup pins. That'll be taking place in a few months. Don Quixote is something that I missed as well. The shops, the superstores. Don Quixote is one of them. Daiso is another one. Can Do is a Daiso competitor, another 100 yen shop. It just depends on where you lived. I miss that. I miss that convenience, Being able to go to a dollar store and get stuff that I can actually use. A lot. And I know I had a lot of Western friends that would decorate their house almost exclusively with 100 yen stuff. It was pretty amazing. The house did not look that bad. Like, what? I mean, we go to IKEA or Ikea, we say in Japan. But you could decorate your house from a 100 yen store. That's pretty incredible. I do like the taxis here. Japan has one of the most expensive taxi system in the world. They only have Uber Black. But the taxis here, the service is always good. Before the navigation system with GPS came, the taxi drivers were really bad. They were old and didn't know their way around. It was up to the driver to know where to go. If you didn't know where to go, then often they would have to stop and call. They'd have to go to a payphone before the cell phones were around, call their office, and then find the directions and write it down and draw a map before the internet and navigation system. Japanese taxi drivers were usually retired guys from corporate life that were just doing something to make some extra cash. But nowadays, the taxis are equipped with so much technology, you don't have a problem getting around. Not like you used to. Whoa, okay, I see the police are over here. This must be near the American Embassy. Feels like this is near the US Embassy. Toranomon. Cram Phillips writes in, are you going to see some rugby? I'd love to know why rugby is played in Japan anyway. Although it's popular in the Pacific Islands nations, no other Asian nation plays rugby, only in Japan. I think Japan is a country that has 130 million people. There's a lot of people here. So, and Japan is also another country that promotes a lot of its sports. People play all kinds of club sports in high school and junior high school. One of them is there's always been a rugby club, especially in places outside of big cities. Rugby has always been, not always, rugby's been one of the options. So it hasn't been popular like soccer or football. It hasn't been as popular as baseball, because baseball, I would say, is the national sport in Japan. It's getting up there. And we do have a good team after they beat South Africa in the last Rugby World Cup. There's some excitement with rugby. And I think Rugby World Cup is being played here because the Tokyo 2020 Olympics is next year. So rugby might have come here to try to get some of that thunder. I don't know if it's working though, but it's pretty cool. And I think it's a good chance for rugby to maybe grow a little bit in this area of the world. If you're experiencing lag issues with the live stream, you might want to press your refresh button on your browser. Any other things? Sports is one thing. If you were a baseball fan, or even if you weren't, Japanese baseball games are just more exciting, I think. Even though you might not know who the players are, when you go in there, the food is pretty good at stadiums. They cheer in a different way. Each player has his own chant. There's just a lot of energy to Japanese baseball games that's different than in American baseball. It's just different. And that's the whole point of it, right? Japan is just different. And that's probably, besides the convenience stores and the vending machines, it was the difference that I kind of just missed. This is more on a personal level now, but in Japan, you could be sitting on a bus or a train and people would be talking, and because English is my native language, I could tune that out. I could tune out the world around me and be almost anonymous. Even though I was different, people would look at me, but I felt a part, and I liked that feeling. Whereas in the United States, I could understand everything very clearly, and I don't know. It was just nice to be different, I guess. And I missed that. That's another thing. When you do come and you to Japan, especially outside of the cities these days, you are sort of a really special part of that community. You're different. And that's not... Oh, there's the Komatsu building. Now I know where I am. Komatsu is a big construction company, and they have a garden on the top of their building. That's pretty cool. Let's cross the street here. I've been kind of wandering. I'm wondering... Okay, I guess this is the road going towards Roppongi. And the U.S. Embassy is down the street. The G20 summit's happening in Osaka right now. So there's a lot of security. I better be careful. I'm walking around. Wow, it really is quiet here. It really is quiet. But there's a lot of things, there are a lot of things that I missed. But one of them was when I did go back home. And yeah, you know, look, I was an expat here. I've been here for 20 years. I know I'm not Japanese, and my value to Japan is that I am not Japanese. This is something that everybody who does become an expat here might want to consider. Your value to Japan is that you are different, that you are not Japanese, that you can understand Japanese culture, but you also understand your own culture. And if you have a way to bridge the two, then that's a huge value to Japan, I think. So I missed that. Yeah, when I left here, I was just John. But here in Japan, you can be big or bigger. That possibility does exist. You can be something different here. And it's not just in Japan. When you're an expat anywhere, you can be different. Or you could blend in and be the same. But you have more things open up, I believe. I'm not leaving Japan. But this is one of the things that I always think about. If I did leave Japan, what are the things that would I miss? And I have left Japan before. And every now and then I like to stop and sort of appreciate what I do have. And, you know, people ask me the question, why did you come to Japan? I always think the best question is, why do I stay in Japan? And the answer is that maybe it's because of all those things. Maybe it's because of all those things that I've been talking about that I would miss if I did go. Oh, okay, so that's where the U.S. Embassy is that way. That's where my embassy is, down that road. So those are some of the things that I would miss. And that's probably one of the reasons why I stay. All of those things I would miss. Joey writes in that he would miss in family-owned restaurants. I agree with that too. Loads and loads of family-owned restaurants. Most ramen places are family-owned restaurants. I like that. And I'm somebody who always tries my best to support local businesses. So you would definitely, more and more in the U.S. we're getting chain restaurants. Everything is becoming corporate, being bought out. Family restaurants are losing to the big corporations. In Japan as well. Hey, Gretchen's here. Do they have root beer in Japan? I believe that they do. I will go and see if we can find one. Yeah, thanks everybody for the super chats. I'll try to buy. Let's turn the live stream now. This place is eerily quiet. Is it because this is around where the U.S. Embassy is? Let's see if we can find a vending machine and pick a drink out of it. See if there's some root beer. I don't know if they have root beer, but I do know that a lot of them have Dr. Pepper in Tokyo, and I don't see Dr. Pepper outside of Tokyo much. What's this coming up? It looks like a nabe restaurant. Ramen and akara nabe. Oh, there it is. Akara nabe. That looks really spicy. That looks really spicy. Dr. Pepper and root beer are completely different, but in Japan, it's sort of the same. Because Dr. Pepper often is as close as you can get to finding it in a Japanese vending machine. And I don't even know why Dr. Pepper is big here. In Okinawa, it's not Dr. Pepper, it's A&W. I've jumped in here. What? Fanta Seikai no Oishii fruit flavor. Sokata. What's Sokata? That's a weird Fanta. Some weird drinks. I don't see anything. Yeah. Remco writes in, I miss the food from my own country. Do you miss any foods from the US that the Japan doesn't have? Yeah. When I first came to Japan 20 years ago, in 1998, I didn't eat any Japanese foods. I tried to live like a college kid would, because I just graduated college. So I was going to the supermarket buying pasta and 100 yen bags or cans of tomato sauce, and I didn't really know how to cook too much. I'd learned how to make pizza dough and was making my own pizza, but it wasn't the same. We didn't have many foreign foods 20 years ago. The only options, and I lived in Nagoya, in a city called Okazaki, not too far from Nagoya. In Okazaki, we only had a McDonald's near the station, and that's about it. So I did miss Western foods, and I didn't know how to live Japanese. But it wasn't until I got a rice cooker and started making rice that I could change. I missed pizza big time, and burgers, like a good burger, not McDonald's, but like a good burger, and nachos. I missed nachos. But in Nagoya, there was one place that you could go, and it still exists, I believe. One place in Nagoya that you can go if you were missing Western food, and that was Hard Rock Cafe. That was the only place. They didn't have any TGI Fridays. They didn't have any American restaurant chains. They had McDonald's and they had Hard Rock Cafe, and it was expensive. It was like $50 every time I went to Hard Rock Cafe, so I wouldn't go there very often, maybe once every 3 months. But you could get nachos, you could get burgers, and it didn't taste quite as good, but it sort of got that fix out of the way. And now when I see Hard Rock Cafe, I see it differently than everybody else. To me, Hard Rock Cafe was a place where I could go and feel at home a little bit. Where, of course, it's a touristy place, right? But at the time, Hard Rock Cafe was my salvation. That's where I would go to get American food when I was homesick. It's a good question. Moss Burger has always been really good, but it's not the same, right? Okay, this is going towards Roppongi. Let's walk this way. So let's walk towards Roppongi, and that's pretty good. We've had a pretty good walk. This has been a pretty good walk. Moss is your savior when drunk. The problem with Moss Burger is that it's not fast food, because you order the burger and you have to wait for sometimes 10 minutes. And I think that's why Moss Burger is not doing so well, believe it or not. Moss Burger is not doing as well as it used to, because it's like politics, right? You either have really delicious, expensive burgers for $15, or you have McDonald's. Moss Burger is in this in-between market that is not really attractive to a lot of people. Not like it used to be. It's still popular, but I haven't gone there in 10 years. I can't remember the last time I went to Moss Burger, except to make a commercial for them, which is on YouTube. If you go to What is a Moss Burger, I believe you'll get the commercial that I produced for them about 6 or 7 years ago. That was the last time I ate a Moss Burger. You can tell them too. I don't care. But Moss Burger was one of the first places that I would go into when I came here. I had training in a place called Okayama. And in Okayama, we didn't have a lot of options. I went there for the first week to train to be an English teacher. And the first thing that I ate was Lawson's convenience store food, and then Moss Burger. And then some guy who is the know-it-all, I've lived in Japan before, there's always one. He said, oh, let's go in and get some soba. And that's when I started to get some real Japanese food. But it took a while. And it took me a couple of years before I stopped being so intimidated to go into Japanese restaurants, because I was always afraid to make a mistake and I just didn't know what the cuisine was. We didn't have the internet to check on, but that's not root beer. That's not root beer. We didn't have the internet to check on stuff or ask questions. So we had a very, very close expat community in Nagoya, in Okayama, in Tokyo, wherever you lived. You always knew the expats. And now, because of the internet, you don't need to get expats to be your resource for stuff. You can just go on the internet. So it's a little bit different than it was many, many years ago. Yeah. Drinking on the streets, I never really missed that. There's a lot of beer vending machines, smoking vending machines. I never missed that. I missed vending machines in general, but drinking outside, I'll tell you what. I remember there was a beautiful day, and I went back to the US for a month in 2003. There was a nice day, and I kind of was wishing that I could just open up a beer outside and drink it. And then I remembered the laws are different. You can't do that. There's no open containers of alcohol are illegal in the United States. Whereas in Japan, we kind of just can crack open a beer or a drink anywhere on the street. Can't do that in the United States. I missed that a little bit, but I don't drink enough where I'm sad about it. But I did miss the convenience of convenience stores, the convenience of Konbini, and how different it is compared to the United States. That I missed. We're coming up to another convenience store right there, you see. It's another Family Mart. They give you a brown paper bag, Chris says. Chris, I thought you were in Holland. You can drink outside in Holland, right? You can drink outside in New Orleans. New Orleans is also, I think, 18 for drinking until, I don't know, not too long ago. UFO Bob has just written our Discord server. It's a place where you can talk about Japan stuff for 24/7 anytime the Discord server is open. And it's free in the general chat to join. It's pretty cool. We have 2,000 people in there talking about Japan. Wait, you can't drink outside in the US? I believe that's true. You can drink outside as long as it's fenced in or it's a private area. You cannot drink outside in public. You can't go to a park and drink. You will get arrested if they catch you. If they catch you. But, yeah. I guess people in Japan, when they drink, they still have... Friends have personal have responsibility over their other friends. If somebody gets drunk, there's usually a group of friends to make sure he gets back home. And people are usually... They become more shy or inward. They don't want to fight when they're drunk in Japan. It's the opposite. They try to avoid fighting. They'll be more open, but they're singing songs instead of wanting to fight. Or in the U.S., I don't know, having gone to a United States university at Ohio State, people seem to fight a little bit more when they went out boozing. Hey, Kiki's in the house. Get something for Kanai. You got it. You got it. I was gonna buy her a plant for the house. So there's a florist up ahead. Thanks, Kiki. That's another thing. That's something that I missed. Somebody just brought it up in the chat. In Japan, people aren't too political, meaning they kind of keep to themselves with their politics. Every now and then they'll have a rally with a guy with a megaphone that's on an extreme left or right. But we don't discuss politics 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then get angry about it so much. In Japan, over the last, the last time I lived in the U.S. with a U.S. president was when Bill Clinton was in office. And, things were pretty political in the U.S. back then. But Japan has always been, I don't get all the political ads or the conversation. And that's sort of refreshing. I can focus on food and other things and travel and things that matter outside of the political world, for better or for worse. The Japanese don't make fun of American politics. They just try their best to understand it. That's the one thing about Japan that I've always really respected. I'm doing an episode in Hiroshima next weekend. It's going to be the most difficult episode that I've ever tried to take on, a challenge, because it's about the bomb and about what happened, and about a guy who wants to give tours to Westerners to teach about what happened during that day, August 6th, 1945, I believe. I think I'm right on that. He wants to give tours on that, and there's a reason behind it. And I'm going to Hiroshima to film why he's so passionate about wanting to introduce this history. But he told me something when I was talking to him to get some background to write the script for this. He said that in Japan, I asked him, why aren't Japanese upset about the bomb? Why do they like Americans in Hiroshima after what happened? Why don't they hold that like anger? And he said, after the war was over, so was the anger. There wasn't really, people just let it go, because in war, it's supposed to be bad. But when the war is over, things are over and you move on. That makes sense to me. But what he said was, there were some situations where in the US people didn't move on. They still had the anger and they couldn't let it go. And said just the cultures are different in that way. After you get through a challenging time, it's over, you move on, and you don't hold on to it. You don't hold on to grudges. There's not much, you can't do anything about it. What's done is done, and you move on. And that's one of the reasons why people moved on. He also said in the textbooks when they learned as kids was the same thing. They didn't blame America for dropping the bomb. They blamed war. All right? They blamed war for dropping the bomb. They didn't blame a country. And after the war was done, people moved on, and there was no anger at the United States. And that's different, because we still remember Pearl Harbor on December 7th, and people are still angry at Japan. Well, there was, because I grew up in the 70s, maybe not so much these days. And I always wondered about that. On August 6th, when we remember what happened in Hiroshima, it's different than how we remember Pearl Harbor. And they're not the same, but just different cultures do things in different ways. That's the best way I can get something for Kanai Kiki. And Charles just wrote in here, hey Charles Emborn, I have fallen in love with Japan because of you, John. Thanks for changing my life and making me feel so comfortable with this community of yours. Thank you, Charles. I'm so glad to hear that. I appreciate that. We do have a good community. Another reason to join the Discord server. It's free. We opened it up for everybody, and there's some really nice people in there. It's like family. It's like family. One thing that I when I first moved to Japan, and I think some other YouTubers have talked about it, this is where Sushi Saito is. I remember I came here with 2 other YouTubers that featured Sushi Saito, and I was lost for the longest time. And I ended up getting to the restaurant late, but it's, I believe, up the stairs to the left. It's very hard to get there. Wolfgang Puck. It's a weird name. All right, to get around, we got to go up the steps. That's Roppongi over there. So we're going towards Roppongi Station. That's quite a walk, Shinbashi to Roppongi. Yeah, there are times when you first come to Japan that you, especially if you don't live in the city, that you might feel lonely. And you feel isolated. Or you feel, I don't know, because people don't speak your language, you just feel lonely. And the best way to overcome that is to just keep going out and talking to people. It's not easy to make friends in Japan. On the surface, this is the one thing that was challenging about Japan. One of the biggest, I think. On the surface, people are your friends, but you never really know. Because I would ask friends, hey, let's go out and get a beer. And they would say, okay, what are you available 2 weeks from now? We're like, I don't know. I was thinking like right now. It's sometimes hard to make friends when you first come to any country. And I had problems too, where I felt a little bit lonely. But it's also a place, you can also, people will leave you alone. Like they respect your privacy. They will leave you alone. And that's also sometimes very welcome. Not everyone is getting into your business, Mark misses the Mochi Donuts. Ah, yeah, mochi. I have to tell you, mochi is something that everybody misses. It's just so good. And they put mochi in pizza. Ah, they put mochi in the pizza dough. Gives it this really springy, nice consistency to it with the cheese. I'm starting to see that more and more. Mochi and ice cream, mochi and all sorts of foods and bread. I have a bread maker. Panasonic is the company that made the first bread machine. And I got a Panasonic because they have the most options. Japanese love to have machines that have like 100 option buttons on it, right? And the rest of the world's like, why do we need these buttons? In Japan, we need these buttons. In Japan, they have something called gohan pan, rice bread. And I always I haven't used, maybe, I don't know, 20% of, maybe like Monday and Wednesday, twice a week, I'll use the bread maker for breakfast. And I take the rice from the night before, usually about 100 grams, and I'll put it into the bread machine with a little bit less flour, and it makes a mochi bread. It is so good. It's heavier, but it's got that springy mochiness to it from a bread machine, and you wake up smelling the bread. It's so good. Yeah, and the pressure cooker, big shout out to Katayama for that. Life-changing. All right, so those who have been in Tokyo before can see and probably know where I am. Just up that hill is Roppongi. Gotta stay to the left. What the heck is that? What? Somebody, please comment. Leave your comments on this. What is that? All right, yeah, we're gonna get a closer look. You got that right. This could be its own live stream. What is that? That's right, you've come to the right stream, only in Japan. Oh no! Alright, of course it's an advertisement for Gurakuro. Gurakuro. What's she looking at? Oh, she's looking at the, that's an old smartphone. Look at the bezels on that. Very cool. This is something that I miss about Japan. It's just so out there. Oh, jeez. That was worth it. He's probably gonna be going around Roppongi. There's the driver. I love how random Japan is. Yeah. Very, very, very unique. Everything changes. It's trendy. Something that's really cool is here today, gone tomorrow, replaced by something that's as equally cool, or if not cooler. Sometimes not as cool, but usually cooler. What are some of the things that you guys miss? Let us know in the comments below. Oh, it's a pet shop. Recently, hedgehogs have been becoming pets. Chihuahua, small dogs. You see them all over the city now. Ramen, yeah. I do miss that culture of soup being a meal. Sukemen or ramen. I miss that a lot. New York is a place where you can get a pretty good bowl of ramen. It's usually a little bit, no, I'd say like 20% more expensive than in Tokyo, but you can get a good bowl of ramen in cities in the US now, and in Europe as well. It's not too bad. But, of course in Japan, everywhere you go, really, really good. Really, really good bowls of ramen. Just about anywhere. Wow, where's my favorite ramen place? It's hard to say. I'm not somebody who has like one particular favorite ramen place. I think it's something that you go by your mood and something you're always trying new. Ramen places and popular ramen places sometimes will go out of business. Ramen can be trendy too, where something is featured on TV, everyone wants to go there, and then 6 months later, it sort of dies down, and then a year later, it's out of business. So ramen places don't often stick around too long. I'm not a fan of the chain ramens like Ichiran and Ippudo. I think that they're good, but to me, they lack personality. Yeah, Wi-Fi everywhere in the city of Tokyo. Internet is great here. I don't have too many problems. But when you get on a train in Japan, this is something I love, the fact that Japan still holds on to some of the older traditions that we have everywhere in the world, like reading newspapers. We still have newspapers in the US and people still get it as I walk past another vending machine. Walk past another convenience store, 7-Eleven. People still read newspapers. Japan has I think in the world, the largest population of newspaper reading people. You see it on the trains. You could get it on a smartphone, but people love paper in Japan. It's all recycled, but they hold on to that. The fax machine, Japan holds on to that. Why? I don't know. Really, I don't know. I was just asked 2 days ago if I could provide a fax number for a client to send me an estimate on something. He wanted me to sign it and send it back by fax. He said, wouldn't a PDF be easier? But they wanted it by fax, so I had to go to the supermarket to send a fax. Convenience stores also have fax machines, but Japan holds on to these fax machines because people are... the population is a little bit older. Fax machines provide hard copies that you can put in your hand right away, and they still sell fax machines. If you go to the electronics store, there's a section on fax machines that you can buy. Walking past the supermarket right now. Yeah, but all in all, the longer you stay here, the more you start to miss it when you do leave. And as I said about 20 minutes ago, these things that I know that I'll miss because I have left before, I know that there are also things that keep me here. And the things that I did miss about the United States, I can kind of get these days. We have pizza. We have chains that have moved in. It's not the same world as it was 20 years ago. In fact, it's so much more convenient 20 years ago. And that sort of destroys one of the other reasons that I loved Japan, because it was so different. It still is, but it was back 20 years ago, it was so separated. There was very little Western stuff here. And the Western stuff that was here was all Japanified. It had this twist on it that made it cool. And now we have Taco Bell, we've got Wendy's is back. We have more Western foods at supermarkets. Philadelphia cream cheese is in the supermarkets. It's like, what? Where did it come from? Philadelphia. 20 years ago, we didn't have that. In fact, 20 years ago, there wasn't that much cheese in supermarkets. Now cheese is popular everywhere. Who doesn't love cheese? All right, welcome to Roppongi, everybody. Up on the top of the hill, I will be where a lot of you may have stopped by for some entertainment yourselves. Some tourists going to B Hotel, checking in from London. I kind of liked Japan not being a popular destination for tourists to go to. 20 years ago, Japan... All right, look, none of my friends came to visit me from college. Only one friend came to visit me when I first came to Japan. It was not a desirable place to go and visit, or it just seemed too expensive. So nobody visited me. And now in the last 5 years, everyone's coming to visit me. It's like, did Japan change that much over the last 20 years that people all of a sudden want to come to Japan? I don't know. But it's very cool that they do. And it's very cool that I'm still here. Because now that they want to visit, I got a place for them to stay. It's very cool. We have just walked from Shinbashi to Roppongi. That's quite a walk. Now if I turn left here, you're gonna get a new view of Tokyo Tower. Chris is right. Chris brings up another one. Safety is big, and I didn't realize it, and I take it for granted. When I went to Malaysia, I was taking a picture, and I put my camera against the wall as a tripod, and my Malaysian friends instantly said, "Don't do that. Someone's gonna take it and run away." And I thought about it, and I said, you know, in Japan, we don't worry about stuff like that, you know? The safety. No one's gonna take your personal belongings. When I walked around, probably the guys that looked like someone who might mug me probably had more cash in their pocket than I did. So why would they why would they want my money if they got more money than me? And that was often the case. So you often feel very safe in Japan. You don't have to worry about as a door automatically opens for a family getting into the taxi right there. I love those auto doors. Let's see if he closes the door. It'll auto close, I think. Don't touch the door, don't touch the door. It'll close automatically. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, safety. Even on the weekend, a single woman getting drunk can walk down the streets and be okay. I don't like don't like that situation though. But you probably would be okay. And if you're a single lady, don't do that. Just don't do that. But if you're going to do that, I would do that here, because you would probably be okay. OCD stig, do not, you're not invited to Japan now. But in Japan, people, I don't know, I think it might be an Asian thing. I don't know. In India, people, there's crime, of course, in India too, but people will call each other brothers and sisters, and there's a sort of connection no matter how much money that you have. Now my experience in India is limited to just my trips there. But yeah, there's a big gap in the socio-economic levels of people, but everybody is pretty down to earth. People that have a lot of money usually don't look down on people who don't, and vice versa. I don't know, my experience has been that people call each other brother, so I like that, you know. It seems safe to me. But it's, you know, even though Japan is safe, I would still take precautions and just know the limits of your safety. No place is ever 100% safe. 7-Eleven truck. Hey, brother. It's true. It's true. Now, you can find an Outback Steakhouse here. I've never eaten there, but this did not exist 20 years ago. Oh, at this intersection, one place that I did go was, you see this building here, this black building on the with the Rolex sign up on the top? They had a Johnny Rockets on this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it was on the 5th or 6th floor of this building. And it was like a Johnny Rockets, because I went to Ohio State and we had a Johnny Rockets there where the staff would sing like a 1950s diner. And that was in this building, and I went there a few times just to kind of feel like I was back in Ohio. But that no longer exists. That chain went out of business pretty fast. There's no more Johnny Rockets in Japan, but they were here. You can see the Tokyo Tower. Do you guys see that between the buildings, right in the center of your screen? The shot of Tokyo Tower from Roppongi is really nice. Mexican food, big time missed that. I missed Mexican food. Oh, you could not get decent Mexican food in Japan. And you probably, and Mexicans are going, you can't get decent Mexican food in America either. But in Japan, you don't even have that. I wouldn't call Taco Bell Mexican food. It's Taco Bell. But in Japan, there weren't any Mexican restaurants, Mexican chains. And when you did find them, they usually didn't stay in business. These days, Mexican food is starting to get more popular in Japan, which is great. It's so good. But in Japan, we never had options. And when you did find any Western foods, they were usually like Japanified. It was different. Even spaghetti had mentaiko, like spicy Japanese fish eggs in the pasta. And it made the sauce so good, but just so different too, you know? It's just not the same. This is one of my favorite views of Tokyo Tower through the urban streets of Roppongi. Once we clear that sign and this post, you'll get a nice view. You see it? It's pretty cool. There you go. I love that shot. Guzmini Gomez. Yeah, that wasn't here 20 years ago, though. That's Australian. That's an Australian surfer burrito store. This is pretty good, by the way. They're pretty good. But that's the surfer burrito store. There's a place down the street here called Frijoles. I believe they're Western owners, people who saw a spot in the market and made 3 or 4 restaurants. There's more competition now, but it's also a place that you could sneak into, Frijoles, and they make a pretty good burrito. It's a little pricey though, but it's not something you eat every day. It's every now and then, just because you miss it, right? Just because you miss it. Gachapon. Yeah, I miss gachapon. Gachapon, though, I think it's starting to grow internationally, because you can now get rid of your change and put fun stuff in capsule, and it doesn't matter what country you're in. The idea just works. If you want to get rid of stuff, put it in a gachapon. All right, we're going down the side streets of Roppongi. I did a live stream called Is Roppongi Safe, which is very interesting. You might want to check that out. That was like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm surprised that this Only in Japan Go channel, I'm still doing it. I didn't think I would still be doing it. What? This is just weird. Mountain Dew Violet. What? Is that good? We tried some of this stuff before on the channel. Strawberry and milk. That's kind of a weird one. I don't know. A part of me is like, just try this. But I tried a drink 2 days ago that was really bad. Jungle Man, it was called. It's not on my top 10. Sunao ni gomenasai. Love and peace, don't fight. Listen, kids, don't fight. Say sorry and be friends again. I love the little community messages. Udon Zaka. Zaka means a hill or a steep road. This area of Tokyo's got a ton of them. Yeah, lots of things I missed. It's funny, I didn't really miss Tokyo. I don't really miss Tokyo. I miss Japan, and that's something that I think is very different. It doesn't matter what city you are in. Fukuoka, Nagoya, Osaka, Kobe, Niigata, even Tottori, Matsue on the other side, Hakodate, Sapporo, doesn't matter, Aomori. There's a feeling that's consistent with all of the places around this country. And when you do live here for a while, you start to recognize those little things that you did miss a lot of with life here, the safety, the community. There are some bad things. Of course, in every place that you live, not everything is going to be ideal. There's something that expats who live in Japan go through called the 6-month blues. In the 6th month of them living here, all of the newness of Japan sort of melts away, and you start looking at the differences and focusing on what's different from your home life back in your home country. And then you start to hate the place that you're in. And almost every Westerner goes through this period. And then once you start to get used to life in Japan again, those blues go away, and you either stay or you go. And I stayed. And I know if I left, I would miss a lot of these things, like just being able to jump into a restaurant like Sukiya and getting a gyudon or curry rice at a really reasonable price, eating a delicious lunch quick, and then getting out and going on with my life. I will miss stuff like that. I won't miss maid cafes. Maid cafes are not my cup of tea. They're not. But, some people might. I'm not one of them. That's interesting. What was once a payphone is now a free Wi-Fi place. So no longer do you have to pay to get your phone calls. And I still have a very nice telephone card collection. You can get them at the convenience stores, but you can just take your smartphone and get free Wi-Fi. So hey, I guess these booths do have a purpose for free Wi-Fi. That is a pretty neat restaurant. I've eaten there once. Uohama. There's free Wi-Fi inside of every subway station, every train station, near convenience stores, at payphones, many city places. And the reason why is because Japan is not great with English. It's hard to find resources. Having free Wi-Fi just makes sense for people to get information on things in their own language. Some of the vending machines are now turning into Wi-Fi hotspots. Yeah. What do we got here? Uh-oh. Sting. I've never seen these energy drinks. I don't like them. This is one of the drinks that I remember when I first came to Japan, fell in love with, because it had chunks of the grapefruit in it. It was so good. Gokuri, it's been around for decades, but one of my favorites. Yeah. Pocari Sweat tastes like Gatorade. It tastes like a sports drink. Yeah. There you go. So we got 1,000 people watching. This is crazy. I'm just some dude walking around the streets of Tokyo talking about what stuff that I miss. I want everybody now to click the like button. If you like this kind of stuff, I will ask myself questions and walk around the city aimlessly, showing you stuff as I answer that question over the course of an hour and a half. Hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. If you do go into the comment sections of this video, stop for a second. This video will be video on demand and playbackable. So in the comments, leave your list of things that you missed when you came to Japan and went back home. What are some things that you said, boy, I wish we had that in my country, or gosh, I can't wait to go back to Japan to do this or to try this. Those things are really important to me because I think I might be making an episode in the main channel about it. Mr. Das, thank you. I will. Actually, I think I will, because there's some places down there that have pretty good beers. I also have to stop. Kiki, thank you. I will get Kanai a plant for the house. She's been wanting a plant. There's a florist down the street there. That's towards Midtown, Roppongi Midtown. But leave the list. I'm actually really curious about that. Some of the stuff that you guys will miss as I say goodbye to Roppongi. Thanks everybody so much. This has been an amazing June. Hey, there's a copper. These cop cars are awesome. Why is he stopping? I do like the police here. They're serious about their jobs, but in Japan, if you get lost, one of the jobs of the police is to give you directions. Every police box, or koban it's called, has a map. And if you ask, they will guide you and tell you where to go. If one of these Wi-Fi spots aren't working for you, you can always go to the police station. There's one right there. There's one on the corner, you see, with the red light. Look for the red lanterns. And the police, you can see him, he's got his vest on. He just walked into the police box. Are always helping tourists, and they're very nice. I like the police here. I'm saying that, so police, if you ever do arrest me, I like you guys. Just be easy with those handcuffs. It wasn't me, honestly. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't think anyone's watching. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. I might be back with another live stream tomorrow. It's the end of the month, so I try to get as many as I can. We're in the middle of the rainy season. Depends on the weather. I got some pretty good ideas. Until then, have a great weekend and see ya. Goodbye from Roppongi. Boy, I'm gonna miss Roppongi. Nah.